Citations, gaming enthusiasts, George My Nerd here, and I'm, of course, as usual, joined by Benson of the Game Dimension and Shroob Invader. And today we're going to be... I don't know what we're talking about, because Shroob said it's Shroob's turn to pick the topic, and he's kept it as a surprise. So
Shroob's
we're going to find out what it is now.
Shroob's got the power in his hand.
So, I kept it secret for really no reason aside from me being a jerk. I don't know why I didn't. I really don't know why I kept it a secret. It's not that specific or something that you guys really need to prepare for. We're gonna be talking about the giant battles and the papercraft battles from the Mario and Luigi series.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some varied experiences with them.
Yeah, I mean, have you ranked the giant battles before?
I've never combined both the papercraft battles and the giant battles all in a list. I've ranked the giant battles, every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then the papercraft battles separately. But I didn't even include the papercraft battles in them because the papercraft battles are boring to me. So
they are very different structurally, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one's 2D and one's 3D.
Yeah. Fair
There's
point.
definitely more of a difference.
I don't know. I feel like
Just
that's
that.
it. I feel like that's it. We just rank them based off if they're 2D or 3D. There you go.
Oh, yep.
That's the whole.
And
That's
obviously,
the whole
3D
episode.
is better than 2D, so
The mo-
papercraft
the
battles
more-
are better than all giant battles.
Cue the song.
The
and
more
dance.
dimensions, the better.
More dimensions for the game dimension. Absolutely. I feel.
Oh, that
I got bias there.
I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. I got some bias when it comes to that. So more dimensions, the better for me.
Okay. So, which game shall we start with? Giant battle or papercraft battle wise?
Well, the first game that did giant battles was Bowser's Inside Story,
That's true. The foundation setter.
so might as well start there. I did really enjoy the giant battles in that game. They were lots of fun.
Yeah.
Especially since the characters are a lot bigger on the screen, the sprites could be a lot more detailed and have a lot of personality to them. I like that. Just lately, I've gotten the remake of Bowser's Inside Story, and I'd say that the sprites, and especially, of course, the models in the giant battles, lack a lot of the charm that the original game had. So
Especially because of the pixel art. Because the pixel art looked so
yeah.
I wouldn't say bad, but it's more nostalgic instead of how they are now.
Yeah.
I guess. I feel like there's more charm to them.
Oh yeah.
I would agree. I mean, they are. It's definitely a nostalgia thing for sure. I wouldn't say they're bad necessarily, but I agree. But I do like the more detail to the models as well. And I think it really works too for Mario and Luigi because Mario and Luigi is all about expression, and if you could find a way to express your characters and give them more details, the better. And I feel like Giant Battles definitely set that foundation for the rest of the series, which is so much fun.
And,
That's true.
Yeah, the
And
point that I was
also,
trying to make.
wait. Go George Mario Nerd. I keep cutting you off because I'm a good person.
All right. Yeah, we want to keep cutting each other off to a minimum. That makes for an awkward podcast. Okay. The point was that the modeled Bowser, since the giant battles in the remake of Bowser's Inside Story are of course 3D modeled. There aren't sprites in that, and I feel like it's a lot harder to make 3D models look as charming and as expressive as the sprites do. So I think that looks... I've only done one of the giant battles in the remake so far, but it just looks a lot worse to me than in the original Bowser's Inside Story. It just doesn't look as nice.
Not as smooth, probably.
I mean, of course, you get more of a sense of place because it's a 3D environment, but it still doesn't look as charming. But I think that Shrew probably wanted us to talk more about the functionality, the feel of the gameplay and whatnot of these giant battles. And of course they rely on the touchscreen, don't they? And also,
yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
yeah. Also, the interesting factor of turning the DS on its side, which you don't really see very often.
Not really. I think the only one that technically has that I can think of off the top of my head, I think the World Ends With You did that. It's like an RPG
Never played
game.
that.
Yeah, it's a really fun RPG. I think that's what it did. I think it basically had it so that way, like, you would have to use both screens on its side. If I'm wrong in that, because it's been a while since I played the original, I played the Switch version more. If I'm wrong in that, then I think the Mario and Luigi series is probably one of the very, very few, if not one of the only ones to really take advantage of that, off the top of my head at least, which is
And
impressive.
in that case, because of turning it on its side, in Dream Team, that meant you couldn't have 3D because it's sideways. It wouldn't work in 3D anyway, so the 3D is deactivated during battles in that game. And I know that the 3D effect isn't terribly popular amongst most people, but I honestly
No.
really love the 3D effect. I think it's a very practical thing. It really helps you judge distances and stuff in platformers and whatnot. And it also just makes the world really come alive and look a lot nicer, in my opinion, even in 2D games. But I just think that the dream world looks amazing in that game in 3D, and if you could see it on that much grander scale in the giant battles, it would look amazing. But turning it on its side does kind of ruin it.
I was gonna say, that was my question with where you were going with this. I was like, does that mean that sacrificing the 3D is like a negative to you? Which I can agree. I honestly can agree. You know, I'm not a big user of the 3D. Before I even got a new 3DS, I ended up having a 2DS back when I was a kid. It was cheaper. It was cheaper for my family. It was just all around better because I used to get headaches a lot when I was a kid with 3D, so it was a lifesaver for me. Now it's a lot better, and I do agree that the 3D effect makes the battles look more grandiose, given that detail that you were talking about with like platformers and having that extra bit of oomph to them, you know, in just games in general. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me, but I do like to add a little bit of sprinkle of detail. So having the 3D sort of taken away during those battles is a bit disappointing, but it doesn't ruin the experience of the fights for me, in all honesty.
Okay. Well, when I got the Bowser's Inside Story remake recently, my excitement for the game plummeted when I noticed it only plays in 2D. I feel like that does that just demonstrate a lack of effort on their part, or are they like, yeah, nobody really cared about the 3D anyway, so let's not bother? I don't know.
Probably
yeah,
the
we-
second one.
Probably
to be
the
honest.
second one,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really
Sad
played much
story.
of the remake, so I couldn't tell you too much about the battles. I've seen footage from like watching the trailers and some people do the battles. And I'm getting your experience. I haven't dabbled too much into the remake still, but I mean, it does kind of stink that this is kind of ruined in a way if it's the way that you're describing. But again, definitely want to get my hands on it first and form my own opinion from that. But I haven't played as much of the remakes as I should.
Yee. So,
I
getting
feel like
back
the
to-
remakes, the remake gameplay is, well, since I'm perfectly the gameplay guy for this. The thing about the gameplay in the remakes, I do agree that's worse, only because it feels. Well, obviously the 30 frames per second makes it worse because it means the game's going to be slower.
True.
But since they really focused on making it look good with the models, the attacks are harder to dodge. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like slower, but it just feels, I guess, less natural when you're trying to dodge it compared to like the original Bowser Inside Story. I don't know what it was. It was very odd dodging in that game.
I think I might know, and this is a long stretch for me, but I feel like I know where you're going with this because, you know, giant battles we usually associate, even though they're giant, we associate them like Power Ranger battles. Like, it's a lot faster, a bit more action-packed, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we
Yes.
can all agree on that. That's what the original tends to pack. Lately, though, especially in new movies like Godzilla vs. Kong, they're making the giant battles a bit more realistic with like slower attacks and slower reaction times. And I feel like the remake was like building on that. Like, hey, we should make these giant battles a bit more realistic, which, again, haven't played the remake firsthand, but from what I'm hearing with like how it's slower for you, Shroop, especially the way you're describing it and how it's slower, doesn't feel like it should belong in a Mario and Luigi game. We're here to like do epic giant battles in a Mario universe, not have like a realistic Godzilla versus Kong battle. That's just me, but I feel like that's a good explanation.
I feel like the giant battles, they were generally not made to be that hard. I don't think. like compared to regular bosses, those are where most of the bosses take place. Those are the harder ones. I never really had much trouble with the bosses myself, the giant bosses. So making them slower and a bit more awkward to play doesn't seem like it makes much sense, because the giant battles are like this huge big showcase of what the programmers can do, of what they can show you, of like a big epic battle. Like playing as Bowser is already supposed to feel like this power trip. You've got, oh, you're big and you're strong and your punches are the most satisfying move to pull off in the entire series. And making Bowser grow big and do these kaiju battles is all about that sense of power and satisfaction that you get from playing as Bowser, but dialed up to its highest extreme. It's not generally about feeling difficult, because if you make the gameplay feel too difficult as Bowser, then that makes him feel weaker, which goes against that idea of feeling strong, but it was always supposed to be like that fun showcase sort of thing.
Exactly.
So you're saying that giant battles are easy?
I think they're fairly easy, to be honest.
So you like really easy giant battles, right, George?
Not really easy. No, just everything in moderation. Just not that difficult. I mean, I'm saying that I never found them that difficult.
Do you think
myself.
do you think you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I picked up immediately from the tone of your voice. I'm like, oh no, we're going there already.
No, you know what, I'll save that for a bit later.
Okay.
Do you want to get into a grander debate about how difficult games should be?
No. That's no.
All right.
No.
I actually.
I'll go to Dream Team because I have the biggest opinion about that game, but I won't go into hard mode yet. That's for later. For much later. So
It's not fun.
no.
Can we get a?
I like giant battles easy because most of the time the controls are much more wonky compared to normal boss battles.
Right.
Like if you compare, we're just going on easy mode. The hardest boss or the hardest giant battle in easy mode for Dream Team is the Z Keeper, and it's mainly because of the gyro controls.
Yeah.
Mostly.
When you're flying through the vortex thing that it goes into.
Yeah. It's just. It's pretty difficult. I mean, I've mastered it because of how many times I've had to deal with the controls of giant battles. But on a normal casual playthrough, before I just normally do hard mode, it's just not fun. It's just so hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, a game can be hard, but like, it's only really acceptable if it's hard on purpose, whereas this is hard because it's not designed terribly well, and the 3DS's gyro isn't that reliable. Tiny screens. Like, the touch screen works perfectly fine. I think that was well implemented in Bowser's Inside Story and whatnot, but yeah, the gyro wasn't a good idea to lean on that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it. Obviously, the Z Keeper is a hard fight, but obviously there were hard fights in Bowser's Inside Story, or giant battles that were hard, and not like unfairly difficult. And the main example I'm going to point out is my favorite giant battle of all time, which is the Fawful Express, which is
a fun one.
That's a fun one.
It's definitely hard. Like, it's not easy. Like, you have to do a decent amount of damage before he actually gets onto the railroad and just ditches Bowser. But it's not unfair because you have enough opportunities to actually kill the Fawful Express. Like, you're not going to be stuck in a position where you have to play the game almost perfectly. Or if the controls mess up on you, then you'll lose. That's the difference about it. Because the Z Keeper is hard because of the controls.
Yeah.
The Fawful Express is hard because you need to do as many perfect outputs as possible. Or inputs. Is that... Inputs is pressing the button, right?
Input, yep. Input.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I actually like the Fawful Express fight.
If you lose in a game because of your own fault, because you didn't play the game well enough, then that feels fair. But if you lose in a game because the controls failed on you and didn't work as intended, that feels unfair, and that makes you a lot crosser, a lot quicker.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
it's
that's
good
it.
game design over just good like
Yeah.
difficulty. You have to balance the two.
Mm.
And technically speaking, difficulty and good game design go hand in hand most of the time. So when it comes to the
Yeah.
Zkeeper and the gyro controls, if gyro is not a good function, like not only for like just the game, but in response to like the system's requirements with gyro in regards to the game, it's not going to work. It's just unfortunately not, and I'm lucky that it wasn't too hard for me. It was more frustrating, but I didn't spend like so much time on it. It was more like, oh god, I gotta do the gyro, and it's a pain in the behind.
Mm.
It was more frustrating than difficult for me. But I do agree with George with like the difficulty of the giant battles being a bit on the easier side. It's more spectacle than difficulty, in my opinion. So the Zkeeper,
Yeah.
Zkeeper doesn't really have spectacle. If it does, you don't notice it because you're too busy being frustrated, which takes away so much from the battle. And that's why I feel like I have to agree that it actually is one of the worst giant battles in there.
Well, like you'd think that it would have spectacle. You like in the Zkeeper battle, most of your time is spent running after the Zkeeper or flying through this weird portal thing that suddenly manifests itself,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're focusing on dodge. You don't really get a lot of chances to attack yourself. It's not simple. He has a turn. You have a turn. It's constantly pursuing the Zkeeper, running after him, trying to drag him down from the sky, avoiding little egg bombs and whatnot. It kind of feels it's a test of endurance. It feels kind of strenuous to do that battle. It's not like
Yeah.
satisfying. It doesn't feel like an RPG where you're both getting fair turns. It feels like you get to chip away at his health ever so slowly and occasionally get a proper turn where you get to use an actual move. And yeah, like difficulty is it can be a tough thing to balance because if the game is just easy, then it's not fun. But if the
Exactly.
game feels unfairly hard, then it's also not fun. The purpose of the game is to make the player have fun. And sometimes people derive fun from going through very difficult games, but generally the best idea is to have that sort of optional and towards the end, which the hard mode in Dream Team is, so that's something in its favor at least.
Right. And I agree. And I feel like the spectacle they wanted to do with Zkeeper is like these grand chase sequences and dodging all these bombs and all that fun stuff. They're like, whoa, check out this epic sequence that we're doing with this boss with Gyro in a giant battle. This is amazing. Except it's just like Gyro. That's the sum of the fight
And
essentially.
you see the cycle so many times because that battle tends to drag on forever. Even if you
Yes.
do everything perfectly, it takes ages, and you don't really even get a chance to take a break and have your turn. It's just
Right.
not very fun.
No, it isn't. And I feel like if anyone did get a sense of wow, this looks pretty awesome, and like that spectacular feeling when looking at the cycle the first time, it's probably gonna be slowly trickling over time.
I feel like
I don't-
that feeling will have run out quickly.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it will.
Very quickly.
I don't know. So I actually like the Zkeeper constantly running away. The only reason I actually dislike the fight is going back to, of course, hard mode, but I won't go too in depth with it. With hard mode, you have to pull off every attack that he sends at you almost perfectly, which is not fun because you don't have correct controls. You don't have great controls compared to, like, I don't know, a boss in the battle ring. That's really difficult. Because at least you have really good controls there. But with the Zkeeper, I know like where there's like a ton of energy balls, then you have to throw like logs at it. You have to almost get every single log to hit a decent amount of orbs. And if it doesn't, then basically your progress is reset with the whole fight.
Yeah, you're in
And
trouble.
it does a lot of damage. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's like a third of your health. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really feels painful when failure in games is punished so harshly with you have to wait through a really long sequence again and go through that test of endurance again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like on a smaller level with like platformers. I've played through Celeste fairly recently, and when you fail in that game, it's treated as no kind of big deal at all. You die, you instantly respawn, try again. whereas here you fail and you're set back so much. It just kind of feels designed to make you want to give up, and
Yeah.
that feels like a failure in game design.
It is, yeah, and like it actually, this is really a throwback here. Many people that played Kingdom Hearts on the PS3 won't know this, but when I was a kid and played Kingdom Hearts on the PS2, you couldn't skip the cutscenes. And for those of you that have played Kingdom Hearts, if there were any that watched, one of the bosses that you would face is Riku in Hollow Bastion, and basically it's one of the hardest bosses in the game. And every time you lost, you would have to hear his speech over and over and over again, and it takes away from the spectacle of what's supposed to be a fun fight. And that's kind of like what I'm going with Zkeeper. Zkeeper is just Mario and Luigi's Riku, where you lose in hard mode especially, you have to go through that cycle of frustration, and it just saps away at you, and you have to like pause, go back, come back later, and hope for the best, only to rinse and repeat until you finally get that adrenaline rush and be like, yes, I did it, and feel accomplished, and then kind of sit down and be like, that was a garbage fight.
The
I'm
battle
gonna
itself.
be honest. Wait, my bad, George. I'll go first this time.
All right then.
I don't know. It's not more of a like, yes, I did it. It's more of a, I finally got this done. I'm glad I'm over with it.
Yeah,
The suffering is finally ended.
Freedom! But no, that's kind of it. Like, you're like, yes, I did it. But then as you go on, as soon as that dopamine rush is gone, of you being happy that you finally beat a fight and feel accomplished, you're like, I'm just happy it's over. There you go. I'm done.
It's not satisfaction, it's release.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweet relief.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even feel like any happiness when I beat Giant Bowser on hard mode. I was just like, God, get me over with. Just get me out of here.
Just finish the cut.
I was just so done with it.
Roll the credits. I'm done. Get me out.
No, because after that fight, the game's actually really good. But
yeah,
that's not what we're talking about.
Shroop said it. It's official. Nope, we're not going to take any arguments here. Sorry, I don't make the rules.
Nope.
Anyway,
my opinion is the only one that matters.
Yeah, the person with the biggest channel gets the most important opinion.
Exactly.
Sorry, Benson.
No,
Yeah, no, none
that's
taken.
That is not what I was trying to say.
None taken. I already know none taken. I already know my opinion doesn't matter on my 101 subscriber channel.
Aw. Anyway, we have not even mentioned the jammy paper one yet. So that one is very much the black sheep. All the other ones have this 2D plane that you fight on. You tilt the DS sideways and you fight, but with Paper Jam, it's this big 3D environment. It's very interesting. It's an interesting turn on things. I can tell that Troop doesn't like them.
Yeah, I would want to take the stand for this one. The problem with papercraft battles is, at least with giant battles, they can be good. If they have the right formula, they can be good. Like, the main concept of giant battles kind of work. That's why I enjoy a decent amount of them. Not all of them, obviously, but a decent amount of them. With papercraft battles, they're already, like, they have a formula that's already so garbage that it's so hard to make a good fight with it. I mean, my favorite papercraft battle is Papercraft Bowser Jr., but it's not really that close. Like, there's just not much I enjoy from papercraft battles.
I played through the game like 2 or 3 times before I realised, I think, that there is actually a button that recenters the camera behind you, which I didn't realise that through like two whole playthroughs of the game.
Oh no!
This is
without that, it's so easy to lose track of your opponents around you and to not be able to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Tough play. And especially since you gotta stop at these little Toad dancing pit stops and re-energize them or whatever, and it's not nice when you've got hostiles around you. In fact, I don't even tend to really attack you that much when you're on the little Toad dancey bits. It's just like a little pause in the action. So that's
I don't think they even attack you at all unless you're going through like the Paper Jam's game version of the battle ring. Yeah, I think they only attack you there. Or in the
Unless like
last
they're in the
fight.
middle of an attack that they're doing, I suppose.
Oh,
I think
that.
that,
Okay,
I
that
think
makes
that
sense.
the papercraft Kamek tends, with the sequence when it's teleporting around and unleashing
Yep.
rings of
Yeah.
death.
I was gonna say, I don't think they're gonna stop midway through an attack just because you're in that ring. They're like, oh,
No.
sorry.
It's just a polite thing to do, Benson.
It's very polite.
Yeah.
I will give them credit. They are very polite. I'm sorry. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, Kamek has standards.
I mean, true. He does have standards. I give mad respect to Kamek. But I don't know.
Of course.
The papercraft battles, they're interesting. I agree. I don't. They're not the greatest. They have good ideas. I feel like it's basically just like anything else in that game.
Just say they're bad.
They're not bad. I'm sorry. It's just disappointing.
Okay, fine.
They're not bad. It's just disappointing. I feel like a parent right now. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. But
If we just characterized every opinion as good or bad, Shroob, these discussions would last like 3 minutes.
Well, I guess that explains why my videos are much shorter than your guys'.
What do you think of Bowser's Inside Stories giant battles? Good. How
Good.
about Paper Jams? Bad. Video
Bad.
over, everybody. Okay, let's get home. Let's get wrapping things up.
it literally feels like a job questionnaire. What do you think of these battles? Good. Okay, very interesting. How about the other ones? Bad. How do you feel about the final battle in Dream Team? Indifferent. All right, moving on. But no, I mean, it's just disappointing because it's like anything else in that game. There is so much potential, so much good intention behind what they wanted to do, and it falls flat for a lack of a better term.
Compared to the regular battles in Paper Jam, which I think might even be the strongest in the whole series. I actually really like the way that Paper Jam fights in the normal battles because it's. I think that the trio of characters, they work well together. It feels like it flows very well, and it's a nice shake-up to the general formula. And also the card system feels very satisfying and enjoyable to me. But there's the three main parts of this game are regular battles, giant battles, and Paper Toad missions. And at least the giant battles are in the middle of that spectrum. I don't despise them like I do the Paper Toad missions, so that's something.
I guess that's credit I have to give. That's true.
Yeah. It's not much credit, but you gotta give it credit.
It's not as bad as something that I completely despise in the game.
So, Shroob, do you prefer the Papercraft battles or the giant Zkeeper battle?
Ooh.
Hard mode or
I
easy
feel-
mode?
Hard mode. Because I feel like one you're just not keen on, and one features actual suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta
that
agree. I'm getting that vibe from Shroob.
I don't know.
It seems
it's much
indecisive.
easier if you said Giant Bowser, but Zkeeper.
Let's. Well, I mean, we're talking about all of the Papercrafts, so let's say Giant Bowser and the Zkeeper.
Oh,
Fair.
well, then easy Papercraft battles. That's
Okay.
not even a question.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
take away the giant Bowser then, just for suffering. How about now?
If I'd honestly probably pick Zkeeper in that sense, because I've gotten like so used to it. Not
No.
good at it, but used to it.
It just the
So,
suffering doesn't affect you anymore.
Oh yeah, of course.
Eventually, you just become numb to the pain. Anyway,
Exactly.
so we spoke a little bit about how the main factor of these giant battles is just this big, showy display, this big satisfaction simulator where you get to throw enormous punches at buildings and whatnot and feel very satisfied by those things. Which of the game's giant battles do you think feels the most satisfying?
Ooh, that's tough.
Because in Paper Jam, you're kind of awkwardly teetering around with this big cardboard thing that you throw. Sometimes it misses. Then you have to go pick it up again.
Yeah, Paper
I
Jam.
don't feel like Paper Jam is in the running for that.
I'm gonna vote Paper Jam out immediately off my island. I think it's the weakest.
That's not mine.
That's not my game. What? How'd you find it? But no.
Get it out of here. Just throw it out the window.
Just get it out of here. Get out, Paper Jam. But no. We're talking normal playthrough, not hard mode, correct?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
Yay. That my option just immediately switches then.
Are you gonna say Dream Team then?
But remember, we're not basing it on the difficulty. We're talking about how satisfying it is.
That's the thing about it. I think that the star attacks are pretty good. Also, Bowser's Inside Story, the original one, doesn't really focus on being that satisfying. Because I know, I know the remake tries to, because it has that, final attack, where it's, you have to, do a spinny thing, and then you have to do a charge punch.
Oh.
But I think Dream Team kind of nails it, at least with the final attack, which is probably the most satisfying.
Yeah, it's pretty satisfying, but
yes,
I'm pretty bad at aiming that little star thing.
See, Bowser's Inside Story, what's satisfying for me is just the action itself, in a way. I get where you're coming from, Shroob. But also, too, you bring up a very fair point about Dream Team and the final attacks and everything. I didn't even know about the remake, by the way, either. But it's tough. It's tough.
I've only done one of the giant battles. I've only fought Bowser's battle in the remake, so I don't really have much of an opinion on that yet.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, both are satisfactory in their own way. But when it comes to because I'm an action, I love, don't get me wrong, I talk a lot about stories, but at the end of the day, I also really, really love gameplay. I like the aspect of both. I just love the satisfaction of just, action in general. Specific hits or final attacks don't matter to me, as long as the battle itself feels satisfactory. So, with that in mind...
So you don't care about the cherry on top, you care about the rest of the sundae.
The cherry on top is just the added bonus for me. The rest of the ice cream sundae is what makes it delicious to me, you know?
Yeah, that's most of the experience.
Yeah, exactly. With that in mind, both are good in this aspect, but... God, that cherry on top does seem delicious, so I gotta agree with Dream Team, honestly.
You're one of those people that just, take a sundae and then just eat the cherry and then just give it to someone else. You can enjoy that.
I can literally, if I want the cherry, I absolutely will, but, the rest of the sundae is so appealing to me anyways. But the cherry on top that Dream Team does with its final attacks and its grandiose affair, it's just so good. It's just really, really good to me, and it's appealing. So, I think just barely by an edge, barely by a cherry, I'm gonna have to say Dream Team with Shroob, honestly.
I need to replay these games more, because it's been a very long time since I played the original Bowser's Inside Story.
Nice.
I know that Bowser is a very satisfying character to play as.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the normal battles, Bowser's punch is definitely the most satisfying move to pull off in any of the games, if you ask me. It's just perfection.
You feel the weight of his attacks, honestly, compared to Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, the way he slowly leans back and then you press the button at just the right moment, Bowser gets this look of pure elation on his face and he thrusts forward. You
could feel the weight shift in that attack. That's what makes it so good. It's not like Mario and Luigi, who are floaty, because it's literally what they are. They are the jump bros. It's Bowser's heavy. Yeah. Bowser is literally his character.
You feel the weight.
Exactly. He's literally his character from Smash Bros, where you feel how heavy he is in his attacks. What about you, George? I don't think you've given your answer yet.
I'm not a very good opinion haver. I tend to like everything, and that's mostly why I don't really do ranking videos like you, Shroob. I find it very difficult to rank one thing over another. You should see me at restaurants. I sit there for ages with the menu. I don't really know what to decide.
Yeah.
I'm just that one person that's like, bam, give me that.
Exactly.
I just already know before I go into the restaurant.
I know what I want, and then I'll second guess it, but then I'll be like, all right, here you go. That's my story. I look at the restaurant, I'm like, I know what I want, but then I look and I'm like, oh, but this seems so good. And then I'm like, bam, final answer.
Buffets are so much better, because then I can eat everything.
Waitress.
We spoke over each other again.
Not again. The real giant battle is the interruptions you guys are doing.
Oh, yeah.
But, Shrew, also does anyone have like actually hold on before I ask about like the opinion I think we've all been waiting for Shroob, who's probably been building up like a volcano for it. Like George, just to push it a little bit more. Like if like this may not help much, but if you had both of them in front of you right now, like think of the best giant battles from each game. If you had both of them in front of you right now, which game would you want to replay the most? Like out of like the giant battles. So like whatever giant battle you think from each game, place them right in front of you and just like be like, oh, like without a second thought, be like, I'd play this one again.
Well, it's hard to think about feelings because like Bowser's Inside Story, I really, really love that game's giant battles. That is a game that feels very nostalgic for me, and out of the games with giant battles, it's the most nostalgic for me.
Mm-hmm.
Dream Team, I only just replayed, so I kind of don't want to play it again.
That's fair.
But like, I feel like Bowser's Inside Story has more giant battles that I enjoy, because Giant Bowser, not that fun, especially in hard mode. Zkeeper, definitely not fun. The Drill Digger, cool concept. I feel like the X version is more enjoyable because it's actually got a little bit of difficulty to it because the original version is just a tutorial thing. Whereas in Bowser's Inside Story, I feel like Bowser's Castle is still a very fun tutorial one, even though it's a tutorial.
That's fair.
That
is honestly
fair. I'm going to say the original Bowser's Inside Story. I really like that game. It just feels very, very satisfying, and I feel a little bit sad that you don't blow into the microphone to breathe fire anymore in the remake.
Oh, they took that away?
Yep, they took that away.
I'm not playing the remake anymore. Forget that. They took it away from me.
You just tap at the right moment.
Oh, that's dumb. That is so stupid.
Wait, you guys
can't feel like you're breathing fire anymore.
What were you saying?
Guys are complete.
Yeah, that's the best part. You feel like Bowser, and now they took it away.
Everyone in my comment section when I was talking about why Fawful Express was my favorite fight, they said they hated it because of the fire and what they had to blow into the mic.
What?
It's not hard to do.
I mean, I also agree with you guys.
I mean, it also picks up on sound, so you could just yell into the mic. Like, you take this, Fawful Express! Oh!
Exactly, pull off the Bowser. You literally felt like Bowser. Not only did you have the weight of the punches, now you could literally breathe fire like Bowser. Who doesn't like that? What? Have I just been living under a rock this whole time and have been, like, missing the consensus about breathing fire in this game? I feel so I feel so outcasted right now. Whoa!
I mean, it's a very specific thing to have opinions about. In fact, let's drive up the interaction on this video. Everybody who watches this video this far, you are required to comment whether you like blowing into the microphone to breathe fire as Bowser. And give me a 10-page thesis on why you do or don't.
Yes.
Okay.
And
you don't need to do that.
I require it. I'm now requiring it. And also, you need to reference other games and why they could have possibly done it better. Spectrobes, whatever, just reference it. I expect it on my desk.
You will be graded.
Yes, I expect it on my desk by the end of the day. Thank you.
All right. I forgot to set a timer, so who knows how long we've been going. But I feel like we've covered most of the bases, so let's start wrapping up.
Oh, we didn't get to Shroob's opinion on the his massive opinion that I've been waiting for. If we want, we can take a few minutes to let Shroob rant about Giant Bowser, but that's up to you guys.
Go on. He can rant. Go ahead.
Okay, Giant Bowser. This fight took me 20 tries. 20 single tries. Now, the problem with me taking 20 tries is that it's not like I died right at the beginning of the fight. I actually died at the third phase, where you had to push Bowser into the lava somehow. Every single time he sent an attack, I got hit right back into the lava. And it was so painful because I wasn't losing because I didn't have enough health or I just was bad at the attacks. It's because the controls were just messed up. I mean, I guess I technically was bad at the attacks because the controls are messed up, but whatever. It wasn't my skill that was making me lose. So, just to let you know, for a reference, that like, going to that part of the fight, doing the whole, like, first phase, then the Beyblade section. That takes around 10 to 15 minutes. I had to do that 20 times. And people like this fight because of, like, the really good attacks in the first phase. Like, people really like the first phase. And I agree with it if I didn't have to deal with this fight 20 times. Because first off, the attacks are not randomized. If you do the exact same pattern of attacks, which I did because I found the optimal way to damage him as fast as possible, he does the exact same attacks in the exact same pattern, and it's just kind of boring. I won't say the attacks are bad, but they are just kind of repetitive sometimes. So I like the attacks if they didn't go on for a long time. The Beyblade section, though, the second phase, this is most of the time people's least favorite segment. It's kind of my favorite. Not really because it's good, because it's the least boring, and I've mastered the controls of both the Beyblade section and the Z-Keeper Time Warp, or Dimension Travel. I was so good at it, because I played the fight so many times. And then I got through it, then I had to go through the stupid Giant Bowser, Giga Giant Bowser as I call him, and I messed up each time. I even got a stylus, because most of the time I was using my finger, because I don't have a 3DS stylus. And I still couldn't do it. I still could not beat the fight, even when I had a really good stylus. I used my Wii U gamepad stylus, and I still couldn't do it. But when I finally got that one attack nailed, after 20 tries, I had to go through the Star Diver, which I think that's what it's called, or Driver Star.
Yeah. Star Driver.
Yep, exactly. So, I did not mess up at all. That was so hard, though, and I actually like that part of the fight. I would like it if this was not part of Giga Giant Bowser, where if you mess up, then you have to, like, do the Giga Giant Bowser part again. Luckily, I didn't mess up, because I'm just so good at this game. And that's the story of Giga Giant Bowser. It's not a good fight in hard mode. In easy mode, I remember doing a poll, like, when I had a low amount of subscribers, and people said that Giant Bowser was their favorite. And I assume that most people that said that did not play hard mode, because most of the time, like, people talking about it in the comments will agree with me if they played it on hard mode, or disagree with me if they didn't play it on hard mode. And that's the thing. If you like pain, play it on hard mode, because seriously, it's just, it's the worst fight. It's my least favorite fight in all the Mario RPGs. I've said it here. Giant Bowser is my least favorite fight of all time.
Yeah, it's another one of those trials of endurance where the battle itself feels like one big long unskippable cutscene.
Yeah.
Because you've already been through it so many times. It's not difficult at this point, but you've still gotta dredge your whole way through the entire thing to get to the bit that you're actually struggling on. And it just becomes a pain, and you want to put the game down and
this is officially...
or throw it out the window or something.
Congratulations, Bowser. You are now the Riku of Mario and Luigi. Hope you're happy. Oh god, now
it's so weird too, because, like, I either really like Bowser fights or really dislike them.
Yeah,
I don't know what it
that.
is. Bowser from Sticker Star I really dislike. Giant Bowser obviously I dislike, but Dreamy Bowser, Dark Bowser, I really like those fights. It's really weird. I don't know why his fights are so wide ranged.
Well, it depends. Like Giant Dreamy Bowser is a big old multi-phase boss, and it's got all these little mini cutscenes in it, and it just feels very, very slow, and of course doesn't control well. Even those Giga Bowser touchscreen bits, where the touchscreen normally works fine, those bits are, for some reason, they're just really hard and annoying. Whereas a more conventional fight in the games like Dark Bowser and normal Dreamy Bowser, those are already good battle systems that you already enjoy. Whereas stuff that relies on weird jank stuff like these things that aren't quite as well thought out or defined just aren't as fun.
Yeah.
We have covered this topic rather well, I think. Thank you for the surprise, Shroob. It definitely added something to it.
What a great surprise.
I just tried to surprise you guys for no reason. Still don't know why I did it, but
Adds a little bit of spice. So, thank you very much for watching, dear viewer. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe for more flatmates and various other things. I did say that I don't like to do ranking videos because I'm not a very good opinion haver, but I thought of a very amusing idea that I shared in Shroob's video ideas bit in his Discord, where I would rank all of the boss explosions in the Mario and Luigi games based on how satisfying they feel. And Shroob didn't want to pick up that idea, but I have decided I'm definitely going to do it. So once I've finished with my Wii U video, my top 5 favorite Wii U games for my 400 subscriber milestone, that I've been sat at 398 for weeks now. Come on, 2 more people subscribe,
Come on,
please.
someone stand up. Someone stand up right now, please.
Yeah. So once I've done with that video and that's out, I'll be right on ranking those boss explosions, and you can look forward to that, which is definitely a video that lots of people asked for.
Definitely
Subscribe
ask
for more.
Wait.
Subscribe for more. And until next time, farewell, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Make it 399.
oh no,
Yay.
don't do that. That's gonna be such a pain.
Oh dear.